Hey, squirrel listeners, I made sure I'm at the right place. You don't have to spend 10 minutes. Oh, that was terrible yesterday. And I took a nap, Pat. So, we should be all right. The room went around oddly. The furniture nodded and jiggled. The bed. How came she to be in bed? Somebody with a white cap on was just going out the door. What door? How funny one's head felt. There were voices somewhere, low voices. She could not see who was talking, but someone she knew. But somehow she knew it was Miss Shirley and the man. What were they saying? Elizabeth heard sentences here and there, bobbing out of confusion and of murmuring. Are you really? Miss Shirley's voice sounded so excited. And you're right. Listen to this. Yes, your letter. See for myself. Before approaching Mrs. Campbell, Flying Cloud is the summer home of our general manager. If that room would only stay put, really things behaved rather queerly, and tomorrow, if she could only turn her head and see the talkers. Elizabeth gave a long sigh. Then they came over to her bed, Miss Shirley and the man. Miss Shirley, all tall and white, like a lily, looking as if she had been through some terrible experience, but with some inner radiance shining behind it all, a radiance that seemed part of the golden sunset light which suddenly flooded the room. The man was smiling down at her. Elizabeth felt that he loved her very much, and that there was some secret, tender and dear between them which she would learn as soon as she had learned the language spoken in tomorrow. Are you feeling better, darling? Said Miss Shirley. Have I been sick? You were knocked down by a team of runaway horses on the mainland road, said Miss Shirley. I wasn't quick enough. And you know, the last thing that we heard, wait, let me go back. Elizabeth heard Miss Shirley shriek. And it did say before that, Elizabeth looked, we'll go down. A flying team of horses attached to a truck wagon whirled around the bend, evidently quite beyond their driver's control. Elizabeth heard Miss Shirley shriek, so I thought something had happened to Shirley. Knocked down by a team of runaway horses on the mainland road, said Miss Shirley. I wasn't quick enough. I thought you were killed. I brought you right back here in the flat, and this gentleman telephoned for a doctor and nurse. Will I die? Said little Elizabeth. No, indeed, darling. You were only stunned, and you will be all right soon. And Elizabeth, darling, this is your father. Father's in France. Am I in France too? Elizabeth would not have been surprised at it. Wasn't this tomorrow? Besides, things were still a bit wobbly. Father is very much here, my sweet. He had such a delightful voice. You loved him for his voice. He bent and kissed her. I've come for you. We'll never be separated anymore. I love it. The woman in the white cap was coming in again. Somehow Elizabeth knew whatever she had to say must be said before she got quite in. Will we live together? Always, said Father. And will Grandmother and the woman live with us? They will not, said Father. The sunset gold was fading and the nurse was looking her disapproval, but Elizabeth didn't care. I found tomorrow, she said, as the nurse looked Father and Mother, Miss Shirley, as the nurse looked Father and Miss Shirley out. I found a treasure I didn't know I possessed, said Father as the nurse shut the door on him, and I could never thank you enough for that letter, Miss Shirley. And so, wrote Anne to Gilbert that night, little Elizabeth's road of mystery has led on to happiness and the end of her old world. Yay! Only a little over 4 minutes, so we'll go on to chapter 14. Wendy Poplar spooks Lane for the last time, June 27th. Dearest, I've come to another bend in the road. I've written you a good many letters in this old tower room these past 3 years. I suppose this is the last one I will write you for a long, long time, because after this there won't be any need of letters. In just a few weeks now we'll belong to each other forever. We'll be talking. Just think of it, being together, talking, walking, eating, dreaming, planning together, sharing each other's wonderful moments, making a home out of our house of dreams. Our house. Doesn't that sound mystic and wonderful, Gilbert? I've been dreaming dream houses all my life, and now one of them is going to come true. As to whom I really want to share my house of dreams with, well, I'll tell you that at 4 o'clock next year. 3 years sounded endless at the beginning, Gilbert, and now they are gone like a watch in the night. They've been very happy years except for those first few months with the Pringles. After that, life has seemed to flow by like a pleasant golden river, and my old feud with the Pringles seems like a dream. They like me now for myself. They've forgotten they ever hated me. Cora Pringle, one of the widow Pringle's brood, brought me a bouquet of roses yesterday, and twisted around the stems was a bit of paper bearing the legend, "To the sweetest teacher in the whole world." Fancy that for a Pringle. Jen is broken-hearted because I'm leaving. I shall watch Jen's career with interest. She is brilliant and rather unpredictable. One thing is certain. She will have no commonplace existence. She can't look so much like Becky Sharp for nothing. Lewis Allen is going to McGill. Sophie Sinclair is going to Queens. Then she means to teach until she has saved up enough money to go to the School of Dramatic Expression in Kingsport. Myra Pringle is going to enter society in the fall. She is so pretty that it won't matter a bit that she wouldn't know a past perfect participle if she met it on the street. And there is no longer a small neighbor on the other side of the vine-hung gate. Little Elizabeth has gone forever from that sunshineless house, gone into her tomorrow. I love it. If I were staying on in Summerside, I should break my heart missing her, but as it is, I'm glad. Pierce Grayson took her away with him. He's not going back to Paris, but will be living in Boston. Elizabeth cried bitterly at our parting, but she is so happy with her father that I'm sure her tears will soon be dried. Mrs. Campbell and the woman were very dour over the whole affair and put all the blame on me, which I accept cheerfully and unrepentantly. She has had a good home here, said Mrs. Campbell majestically, where she never heard a single word of affection, I thought, but did not say. I think I'll be Betty all the time now, darling Miss Shirley, were Elizabeth's last words, except, she called back, when I'm lonesome for you, and then I'll be Lizzie. Don't you ever dare to be Lizzie, no matter what happens, I said. We threw kisses to each other as long as we could see, and I came up to the tower room with tears in my eyes. She's been so sweet, the dear little golden thing. She always seemed to me like a little harp, so responsive to the tiniest breath of affection that blew her way. And it was not a regular harp. Not alien, but AEOLIAN. I have to look, let me try to look that up without losing everybody. Let's see. Dictionary, come on up. Olegan. It looks like it's how you say it. Relating to or arising from the action of the wind. Okay. So responsive to the tiniest breath of affection that blew her way. It's been an adventure to be her friend. I hope Pierce Grayson realizes what a daughter he has, and I think he does. He sounded very grateful and repentant. I didn't realize she was no longer a baby, he said, nor how unsympathetic her environment was. Thank you 1,000 times for all you have done for her. I had our map of fairyland framed and gave it to little Elizabeth for a farewell keepsake. I'm sorry to leave Windy Poplars. Of course, I'm really a bit tired of living in a trunk, but I've loved it here. Loved my cool morning hours at my window. Loved my bed into which I veritably climbed every night. Loved my blue donut cushion. Loved all the winds that blew. I'm afraid I'll never be quite so chummy with the winds again as I've been here. And shall I ever have a room again from which I can see both the rising and setting sun? I've finished with Windy Poplars and the years that have been linked with it, and I've kept the faith. I've never betrayed Aunt Chatty's hidey hole to Aunt Kate, or the buttermilk secret to each to either of the others. I think they are all sorry to see me go, and I'm glad of it. It would be terrible to think they were glad I'm going, or that they would not miss me a little when I'm gone. Rebecca Dew has been making all my favorite dishes for a week now. She even devoted 10 eggs to angel cake twice, and using the company china. And Aunt Chatty's soft brown eyes brimmed over whenever I mentioned my departure. Even Dusty Miller seems to gaze at me reproachfully as he sits about on his little haunches. I had a long letter from Catherine last week. She is a gift for writing letters. She has got a position as private secretary to a globe-trotting MP. What a fascinating phrase globe-trotting is. A person who would say, let's go to Egypt, as one might say. Let's go to Charlottetown, and go. That life will just suit Catherine. She persists in ascribing all her changed outlook and prospects to me. I wish I could tell you what you've brought into my life, she wrote. I suppose I did help, and it wasn't easy at first. She seldom said anything without a sting in it, and listened to any suggestion I made in regard to schoolwork with an air of disdainfully humoring a lunatic. But somehow I've forgotten it all. It was just born of her secret bitterness against life. Everybody has been inviting me to supper, even Pauline Gibson. Old Mrs. Gibson died a few months ago, so Pauline dared to do it. And I've been to Tom Gallen House for another supper with Miss Minerva of that ilk, and another one-sided conversation, but I had a very good time eating the delicious meal Miss Minerva provided, and she had a good time airing a few more tragedies. She couldn't quite hide the fact that she was sorry for anyone who was not a Tom Gallen, but she paid me several nice compliments and gave me a lovely ring set with an aquamarine, a moonlight blend of green and blue that her father had given her on her 18th birthday. When I was young and handsome, dear, quite handsome. I may say that now, I suppose. I was glad it belonged to Miss Minerva and not to the wife of Uncle Alexander. I'm sure I could never have worn it if it had. It's very beautiful. There's a mysterious charm about the jewels of the sea. Tom Gallen House is certainly very splendid, especially now when its grounds are a leaf and a flower. But I wouldn't give my as yet unfounded house of dreams for a Tom Gallen house and grounds with the ghost thrown in. Not but what a ghost might be a nice aristocratic sort of thing to have around. My only quarrel with Spooks Lane is that there are no spooks. Hang on. Oh, sometimes when I put my thumb down or something on it, it'll scoot to another page. That's what just happened. No spooks. I went to my old graveyard yesterday evening for a last prowl, walked all around it, and wondered if Herbert Pringle occasionally chuckled to himself in his grave. And I'm saying goodbye tonight to the old Storm King with the sunset on its brow, and my little winding valley full of dusk. I'm a wee bit tired after a month of exams and farewells and last things. For a week after I get back to Green Gables, I'm going to be lazy, do absolutely nothing but run free in a green world of summer loveliness. I'll dream by the dryad's bubble in the twilight. I'll drift on the lake of shining waters in a I'll drift on the lake of shining waters in a shallop shaped from a moonbeam, or in Mr. Berry's flat if moonbeam shallops are not in season. I'll gather star flowers and June bells in the haunted wood. I'll find plots of wild berries in Mr. Harrison's hill pasture. I'll join the dance of fireflies in Lover's Lane and visit Hester Gray's old forgotten garden, and sit out on the back doorstep under the stars and listen to the sea calling in its sleep. And when the week is ended, you will be home, and I won't want anything else. When the time came the next day for Ann to say goodbye to the folks at Windy Poplars, Rebecca Dew was not on hand. Instead, Aunt Kate gravely handed Ann a letter. "Dear Miss Shirley," wrote Rebecca Dew, "I'm writing this to bid my farewell because I cannot trust myself to say it. For 3 years you have sojourned under our roof, the fortunate possessor of a cheerful spirit and a natural taste for the gaieties of youth. You have never surrendered yourself to the vain pleasures of the giddy and fickle crowd. You have conducted yourself on all occasions and to everyone, especially the one who pens these lines, with the most refined delicacy. You have always been most considerate of my feelings, and I find a heavy gloom on my spirits at the thought of your departure. But we must not repine at what Providence has ordained." 1 Samuel 29th and 18th. "You will be lamented by all in Summerside who have had the privilege of knowing you, and the homage of one faithful though humble heart will ever be yours, and my prayer will ever be for your happiness and welfare in this world, and your eternal felicity in that which is to come. Something whispers to me that you will not be long, Miss Shirley, but that you will ere long be linked together in a union of souls with the choice of your heart, who I understand from what I've heard is a very exceptional young man." The writer, possessed of but few personal charms and beginning to feel her age, not but what I'm good for a good few years yet, has never permitted herself to cherish any matrimonial aspirations, but she does not deny herself the pleasure and interest in the nuptials of her friends and many. I express a fervent wish that your married life will be one of continued and uninterrupted bliss. Only do not expect too much of a man, she has in parentheses. My esteem, and may I say, my affection for you will never lessen, and once in a while, when you have nothing better to do, will you kindly remember that there is such a person as your obedient servant, Rebecca Dew. P.S. God bless you. Ann's eyes were misty as she folded the letter up, though she strongly suspected Rebecca Dew had got most of her phrases out of her favorite book of deportment and etiquette. That did not make them any the less sincere, and the P.S. certainly came straight from Rebecca Dew's affectionate heart. "Tell dear Rebecca Dew I'll never forget her, and that I'm coming back to see you all every summer. We have memories of you that nothing can take away," sobbed Aunt Chatty. "Nothing," said Aunt Kate emphatically. But as Ann drove away from Windy Poplars, the last message from it was a large white bath towel fluttering frantically from the tower window. Rebecca Dew was waving it. And that's at the end of the book. Oh my gosh. So tomorrow we're going to start Anne's House of Dreams. Unless I've been trying to find something Halloween-y to read, maybe just for this month, and then go back to this. Haven't found anything that's old enough that would be good. So we'll see. But wow, that was good. Oh, what a good ending. Almost made me cry. Okay. I hope to see you at 3. Live at 3 with just me, GrannyDee. And I am freezing. It's cold up in here. I've got the heat set to 70, but woohoo! I think I might have to get that Jaxie's fluffy shawl on. Brr. Okay, see y'all later. Bye, love ya. Be sweet, don't be ugly.